The first time the hillside disappeared under her hands, people laughed and shook their heads, certain they were watching a woman quietly lose her mind. Snow clouds hung low over the mountains, the kind that promised brutal winters, and yet there she was with a borrowed jackhammer and blistered palms, carving into solid earth as if she were trying to vanish inside it. They said no one could live that way. They said she would freeze, collapse, or regret it. Nobody believed her dream would survive even one winter. If you believe in silent heroes, in second chances, and in people who keep going when the world laughs at them, take a moment right now to like this video, comment, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this deserve to be remembered. Her name was Evelyn Carter, a quiet woman in her early 40s living in a small mountain town in Colorado, United States. She had once lived a very different life. Years earlier, she had a modest house, a stable marriage, and plans that felt safe and predictable. Then the losses came one by one. Her husband died suddenly from a heart condition. Medical bills swallowed their savings. The house was sold to settle debts. What remained was grief, exhaustion, and a determination she did not yet fully understand. Evelyn moved to the edge of town, where land was cheaper and unwanted. A steep hillside of rock and dirt overlooked the valley, ignored by developers and dismissed as useless. When she bought the land for almost nothing, neighbors assumed she would build a small cabin like everyone else. Instead, she began studying the hill itself. She read books at the library about earth-sheltered homes, thermal mass, and ancient dwellings carved into stone. She noticed how cool the caves stayed in summer and how warm they felt in winter. Slowly, an idea took root. She decided not to fight the mountain, but to live inside it. At first, the town watched with curiosity, then amusement, then open doubt. Evelyn worked alone most days, wearing old gloves and a jacket patched too many times to count. She measured carefully, carving a small entrance, then expanding inward. Progress was slow. Money was always tight. Some days she questioned herself, especially when her hands shook from fatigue and the walls seemed too solid to ever yield. But every evening, when she stepped inside the carved space and felt the steady calm of the earth around her, she felt peace she had not known since her loss. Neighbors warned her constantly. They said the roof would collapse. They said moisture would ruin everything. They said she was wasting what little money she had left. Evelyn listened politely and kept going. She reinforced the structure with steel beams scavenged from demolition sites. She sealed the walls carefully, learning through trial and error. She installed a simple wood stove, ventilation shaft, and thick doors that face the sun. By the time the first snow fell, her home looked strange from the outside. Just a wooden door set into the hill, a few windows cut into rock, and a chimney pipe rising like a quiet signal of defiance. Inside, it was simple but solid. Warmth lingered in the walls even after the fire died down. The air felt steady, not sharp like the cold outside. That winter was harsh, but survivable. People noticed, but they did not yet believe. They said she had gotten lucky. The following year, the storm came that changed everything. Weather reports warned of something historic, but mountain towns were used to warnings. Still, when the snow started falling, it did not stop. Wind screamed through the valley. Temperatures dropped lower than anyone remembered. Roofs began to strain under the weight. Power lines snapped. Roads vanished beneath white silence. One by one, houses across the town were buried, their roofs crushed or frozen solid. Families fled when they could. Others were trapped, waiting for rescue. Evelyn stayed inside her hillside home as the storm raged. Snow piled against the entrance, but the structure held. Inside, the temperature barely changed. The thick earth walls absorbed the cold and gave back stored warmth. While others shivered in darkness, Evelyn's space remained calm, almost womb-like, protected by the mountain itself. When the storm finally eased, the town looked unrecognizable. Drifts towered over cars. Homes were damaged or completely collapsed. Emergency crews worked nonstop. Then someone remembered Evelyn. They found her door nearly buried but intact. When they dug it out and opened it, warmth spilled into the frozen air. Evelyn stepped out, tired but unharmed. Her home stood exactly as it had before the storm, while everything around it lay broken. News spread fast. The same people who had laughed now stared in disbelief. Engineers came. Reporters followed. They measured temperatures, inspected walls, and asked questions. Evelyn answered simply. She explained how the earth protected, how the hillside gave stability, how working with nature instead of against it had saved her. But what mattered more than the attention was what happened next. Evelyn opened her home to neighbors who had nowhere else to go. Families warmed themselves inside the carved rooms. Children slept safely, while storms continued to sweep through the region. Her home became a refuge, not because it was large or luxurious, but because it was resilient. As repairs began across the town, attitudes changed. People started rebuilding differently. They asked Evelyn for advice. They listened now. What had once been seen as foolish was suddenly wisdom earned the hard way. For Evelyn, the greatest change was internal. The grief that once defined her softened. She realized her struggle had created something meaningful, not just for herself, but for others. Her quiet persistence had turned into a lesson the entire town would never forget. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that belief often comes too late for those who doubted, please take a moment now to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can be told. Before we end, we have one special request for you. Comment below and tell us this. Have you ever been doubted for choosing a different path? And did it ever prove stronger than expected? Because sometimes the safest place in the world is not built high and loud. Sometimes it is carved patiently into stone by someone brave enough to trust their vision, even when nobody else believes.